All right. Thank you all so much for joining us today for our final State Leaders Call of 2019. It's hard to believe that our 2019 calendar is already coming to a close. It's really gone fast. We're really looking forward to seeing many of you at Vision this year, and to, of course, continuing to participate with you in the state leadership calls in January 2020 for our next round of calls. We'll be sending more information about what the schedule will be for that, as well as the themes for the calls. If you have any ideas, we are always open to ideas and looking for ideas. We want to make sure that we're meeting your needs and your requests. So please send that to us. We really do listen. For example, this year we had a lot of requests for leadership, so we were able to tap into some of our past fellows to do some of our sessions on leadership this year. So there's other topics like that that you would find helpful. Please let us know so that we can do that. Before we get started with our topic of the month, which is CTE month, let's go ahead to Jared, and he's going to provide us with our legislative update. Thanks, Jared. You might be muted, Jared. Hold on. I've unmuted you, Jared.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Terrific. All right. Well, thank you very much, Lauren. Before I get started, just want to remind everyone to be engaged in your state around Perkins implementation. Be engaged in the planning process. There, in a lot of states, are opportunities for formal participation and public comment periods that are either ongoing or will soon to be launched, and so it's really important to be engaged in that respect. In terms of what's going on the Hill, the big news this month is in the House, Democrats released their plan for the reauthorization of the Higher Education Act. They are going to have a markup on that tomorrow, where they are expected to vote the bill out of committee on partisan lines, for Democrats voting for it, Republicans against it. There are a number of provisions that are of interest to us, although ACT has not taken a position and will not take a position on that bill for a number of reasons, including because it does include a lot of somewhat controversial pieces that are outside of our scope and outside of our realm. Just some things to briefly note. The bill does include the College Transparency Act, which is one of our top priorities, and that essentially strikes the student level unit record data ban. So point being is that it will allow institutions to report and really for students to see complex data on prospective institutions that they might be interested in. And then the other big one is ACT's other top priority is the Jobs Act, which extends extends Pell Grant eligibility to short-term job training programs. The idea there is that these short-term job training programs shouldn't be arbitrarily penalized and not have access to Pell Grants just because they're short-term programs. This bill does basically extend Pell to short-term programs, but it does include a lot more restrictions than the Jobs Act would or some other proposals would. And so we're a little bit concerned with that in that regard, just because we want to make sure that students and institutions actually have access to this money and there aren't too many hoops to jump through. So we're working closely with stakeholders on Capitol Hill to make some changes, hopefully on that in that respect. Other things that might be of interest, the bill includes a student success fund for community colleges. This would essentially be a $500 million a year grant program for community colleges that would largely focus on improving student outcomes. There are also some changes to federal work study. One changes the funding structure so that institutions are no longer prioritized based off of how long they've been participating in federal work study. I am getting some feedback, so if somebody hasn't muted their line, that would be great. And then the second thing is it creates a pilot program to essentially prioritize work opportunities for students that align with their career paths and what they're interested in. And that's been a long priority of ACT. Essentially, if you're going to have students working while they're in school, it makes a lot of sense to have them work in fields related to what their academic or what their pursuits are. Briefly, other things that it does, the only other major one would be the bill does authorize $181 million annually from fiscal years 2021 to 2026 through Perkins to strengthen post-secondary CTE programs. So a little bit of a new thing in that it's another bill that's allocating funds to or through Perkins for post-secondary institutions. But something that's good because it would provide additional funding for Perkins, although slight caveat is that it would have to still go through the appropriations process each year. And then the last thing is that the bill would expand the public service loan forgiveness program and shorten the total loan forgiveness time for teachers, which of course would impact CTE teachers just like it would for any other type of teacher. So those are some brief overviews. Again, a couple concerns in some areas, a couple good things. So we'll be monitoring that closely, and you can take a look and monitor the CTE Policy Watch blog for updates. And then the other piece of legislation that was introduced this month is called the Working Students Act. It was introduced in both the Senate and the House. In the Senate, it's by Senator Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin, and in the House by Representative Amy Barra of California, both Democrats. But what that bill essentially does is it increases the amount that working students can earn before those earnings are counted against them when it comes to the amount of money that they're awarded in need-based federal financial aid. This is one of ACT's priority because we know that a decent number of CT students are part-time or working students, and we don't think that some of the earnings that they're earning working part-time while they're going to school should necessarily hurt them when it comes to financial aid that they receive. So that's the other bill, and ACT has endorsed that bill. And then the last thing I'll mention is just a brief appropriations update. Nothing really has changed since our last call, other than we're now in fiscal year 2020. Still don't have any sort of budget deal. We're still in that continuing resolution, which put everything on autopilot. The continuing resolution only lasts until November 21st. So when November 21st comes, we'll have three options. One, there'll have been another continuing resolution that has been passed. Option two, we'll have a budget. Or option three will be that there'd be a government shutdown because no budget or continuing resolution was passed. Some of the murmurs on Capitol Hill is to pass a year-long continuing resolution, which would essentially have the effect of just flat funding everything from fiscal year 2019. But again, it's still unclear, and we'll keep everyone posted on the CTE Policy Watch blog. Happy to quickly take any questions. Otherwise, the policy team and myself are always able to hop on the phone or answer any emails with any questions that you have.
Thank you, Jared. Any questions for Jared? I'm looking at our chat box. All right. If anyone has any questions, as Jared mentioned, please feel free to contact him or anyone on the public policy staff, and they would be happy to assist. Thank you so much, Jared. We appreciate your time.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. With that, we're going to go ahead and move on to our ACTE announcements. We have several things going on, especially as we get closer here to our vision conference. So I just wanted to go over a few things. The first thing I wanted to make sure you were aware of were some deadlines that are coming up for the fall. The state breakfast RSVP deadline is November 1st. If your state has not yet submitted that to Shelley, please be sure to do so. The state breakfast is the meeting on Saturday morning of Vision, and it's an opportunity to have all of our state leaders gather together to hear about what's going on in ACTE, and it's also where we do our recognition of the Quality Association Standards Awards and our membership awards. So again, if you have not done so already, please be sure to RSVP for that. Each state is allotted 10 slots for that breakfast, and if you need more than 10, we are welcome to work with you to invoice you for any additional beyond that 10. November 6th is the membership deadline to vote in the upcoming Board of Directors election. So if you have any state membership batches still in your possession, so from your summer conference or from a recent drive at your school, please be sure to turn those in by November 6th, so those members are eligible to vote in the election. If we do not receive it by that time, there will be some delay in your members being able to access their right to vote. So please, if at all possible, get those into ACTE headquarters by November 6th so that there's no delay for your members in order to vote. We also have our post-secondary leadership success program. That deadline is December 15th. So that's coming up in about 45 days. It's been an excellent pilot program for us this year. We're really excited about all the things that they've been able to do. And we would encourage you to encourage your state members to participate in that program. It's an excellent opportunity and has a lot of benefits associated with it. So please check out our website for more information. December 15th is the deadline for that. I wanted to plug our state leadership training program. This is an opportunity that happens in conjunction with Vision. It will be on Wednesday, December 4th from 8 to 5. It's a pre-convention session that we hold, and it costs $25 a person, but it is specifically geared for you as a state leader to provide you with skills in association management. We use the Quality Association Standards as the framework by which we determine our sessions from time to time. So I would encourage you, especially if you recently completed the QAS or are interested in learning more about the Quality Association Standards and what they are and what it would take in order to become Quality Association, to participate in this program. It's open for all state leaders, whether you're brand spanking new or you've been around for years and years and years. This year, we're going to have a really excellent agenda for you. Sherry Adrian, who is one of our past board members, as well as a former state leader, former fellow, former state leadership training program participant. She's been involved with it all. She's going to be talking with us about leadership. We also are going to have a panel from NEDA that's going to be moderated by President Tim Canoe. NEDA is the Executive Directors Association, and it's going to really be providing you with some State Association 101. So especially if you're a new executive director or a new president, this would be a great panel for you to participate in so that you can learn more about what does it really take, what's involved with leading a state association. We're also going to have Fred Wheeler from Forrest T. Jones talking to us about insurance, not just insurance in terms of a membership benefit to your individual members, but also the importance of insurance for your state association and for your state association board. It's very important that your state association board has insurance coverage. So he's going to go through all of that, what to be aware of, what's involved, what the options are. It's going to be extremely helpful and is actually another session that was requested by you, the state leaders. So we hope it's really helpful. Then we're going to have Alicia from our public policy staff doing a session for us on advocacy. As many of you know, Alicia is really a leader in the field, especially in regards to Perkins. So this is an excellent opportunity to receive some more training in advocacy and to really hear from one of the, if not the top expert in the country on Perkins. So I encourage you to participate in that. You can register on the Career Tech Vision registration form. If you've already registered for Vision and would like to add it, you can do so on that same form by adding it to that registration. If you have any issues, please contact me and I'd be happy to assist. I already mentioned the November 6th deadline for our board of directors election, but just to go over it again and what the timeline will be, voting will begin on Friday, December 6th, and it will end on January 6th. We have several positions up for election this year, and I hope that you would encourage your members to vote in any position that they are eligible to vote in. If you have any questions or issues that come up along the way, please feel free to contact me. I'd be more than happy to assist with any problems that might come up or any questions that you might have. But again, in order to vote, we must have those memberships in by November 6th. I already mentioned the post-secondary leadership success program. Again, December 15th is that deadline, $4,000 stipend available, as well as graduate education credits and opportunities to attend workshops, etc. Please check this out. Please encourage your members to participate and to apply. I wanted to go over the sessions that we're going to have for you as state leaders at our Vision Conference. So on Wednesday, as I mentioned, we're going to have our state leadership training program as a pre-convention session from 8 to 5. Then at 1 o'clock is the NEDA meeting, which is the Executive Directors Association. It is completely fine if you need to leave the state leadership training program and then come back to it after the NEDA meeting. That's not a problem. Then that evening, Wednesday, December 4th is our ACTE Awards Gala. On Thursday, December 5th is our Assembly of Delegates. That'll start at 10 a.m. Most of you have already submitted your delegate list, and those of you who haven't, we're still working with you on that. So please be sure to get those in if you haven't already. The NEDA Forum, which will be an opportunity for you all to share best practices of what's going on in your state associations, will be 3 o'clock on Thursday. On Friday, December 6th, we'll have our State Association President's Networking Meeting. That'll be at 9:30. This is an opportunity for you as state presidents to talk to other state presidents and share best practices, hear what other states are doing, what they're struggling with, what's working, what's not working. It's a great opportunity for you to network and to learn more from your fellow state presidents. It's also the day that our election opens. And December 7th, as I mentioned, 8 a.m. is that state leadership breakfast. The doors will open at 7, food will be served at 7:30, and the program will start at 8. One of the things that I wanted to go over in regards to Vision is our Assembly of Delegates and the bylaws that will be up for amendment at the Assembly of Delegates. So I'll send this out to all of the delegates prior to Vision, but I just wanted to go over it really quickly with you all as the state leaders in case you had any questions and as you are preparing your delegates for the Assembly of Delegates. Our first one has to do with the process of nomination for our board of directors. And we have added some additional text here in red for consideration. Essentially, we are saying that in addition to being interviewed, any candidate to be nominated from the floor must be deemed compliant with the applicable criteria in the board policy manual. So several years ago, we reviewed a similar amendment. It did not pass at that time due to some concerns regarding the ability to run from the floor. The nominating committee and the bylaws committee both reviewed this amendment again and are both recommending that it be approved again at the Assembly of Delegates. The rationale for this is that the bylaws were misdrafted in regards to the running from the floor provision, and that it currently provides a liability for our association. Running from the floor would still be possible. It would just be limited to those who have been interviewed and also deemed compliant with the applicable criteria. So this would really protect us from an instance where, say, a new ACT member who just joined, applied and was interviewed, but had no experience with ACTE whatsoever or something of that nature, or did not meet another qualification in order to run for the position. So it prevents situations like that from occurring. We do not believe that there are any cons to this issue, but I would welcome any discussion or questions that anyone has about this bylaws amendment. Any questions or concerns? Again, remember we are muted, so please unmute your line. Debbie from Colorado ACT is sharing that her executive committee voted to have delegates vote in favor of this. So thank you, Debbie. Any other questions or concerns? Just checking the chat. Okay. If you do have any questions or concerns, please let me know. I'd be happy to respond to any questions you or your delegates might have about this change. The second one that is up has to do with our organizational structure and related to our affiliated state associations. Again, in red is the amended text stating that in addition to the bylaws and policies, the activities of an affiliated state association shall not be in conflict with the ACTE bylaws and must meet the requirements of ACTE operating policies. Again, this was something that was raised to us by our legal counsel, and she indicated that they were misdrafted. This new language clarifies it and makes it explicit so that ACTE is not in a vulnerable position with our affiliated state associations. We do not see any cons to this. Again, this is removing a potential legal liability. But if anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to respond to those. I'm going to check the chat. Any questions? All right. This is one of those things where it's implied, but we need to state it explicitly to avoid liability. One of the last things I wanted to go over with you is that this is our last call for 2019, as I mentioned at the beginning, and we will be starting again in January. So I'll be sending out a schedule so that you know when the new calls will be for 2020, as well as our calendar, so that you can plan accordingly. We hope that you'll continue to join us and participate in viewing the recordings online. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Julia O'Brien, who is our Senior Director of Communications for our Programs and Communications Update. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay, perfect. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure. My updates are going to focus entirely on our professional development events. We have a lot of them coming up soon, so I just wanted to highlight them. As many of you know, and I hope to see many of you there, our annual flagship Career Tech Vision will be happening in Anaheim this year from December 4th to the 7th. Attendance for that is looking very strong, stronger than actually San Antonio, so we're excited about that. And registration is, of course, open, through on-site registration. So if you know of someone who's interested, or if you're still interested, there's certainly time still to register for that event. We'll be announcing our mobile app in the coming weeks, so we encourage you to download that early and check out the complete agenda, start planning your schedule. And we also always offer a drawing for next year's event, a free registration to next year's event for those who download the app before they arrive on site. So we encourage you to watch for that announcement. Then, of course, we have our National Policy Seminar. That'll take place March 29th through April 1st, and registration for that will open in early December. So, again, watch for information on that coming soon. And then I've got listed our dates for the 2020 region conferences. We do have dates for Region 1, which will be March 11th through the 13th in New York City. When we did this flyer, those dates had not been quite set yet, but they are now, and we are updating our flyer as we speak. And then the Region 3 event will take place June 17th through the 19th in Prior Lake, Minnesota. And then the other region conferences are listed there. So we really encourage you to attend those. It's a great way to network and hear, best practices in surrounding states. So they're really great and focused events. And then, of course, we have our Best Practices 2020, which we co-host in conjunction with NCLA. That covers topics primarily of interest to administrators. And next year's event will take place in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. So we're also excited about that. And then I should mention that call for proposals for both Vision 2020, which will take place in Nashville next year, December 2nd through the 5th. And then for Best Practices, we'll also open for Vision, it'll be in mid-December, and I believe Best Practices Call for Proposals will open at that same time too. So we encourage all of you to present at both of these events. And then the other event I wanted to mention is a new one that we are hosting in conjunction with Butler Tech. It's called Leading the Education Revolution, and it'll take place in Cincinnati. Let me just change slides here. I'm sorry. Thanks, Lauren, for your help.
You're welcome.
Anyway, that event will take place June 9th through the 12th. next year in Cincinnati. And that event is really focusing or looking at innovative ways to transform CTE programming in just a really engaging interactive event. So again, that'll be in Cincinnati, Ohio. And then I just encourage you to check our professional development section of our website. That lists all of our upcoming events. We are more actively co-hosting with a few states, co-hosting with some of the states their events. And then we also have an event called Teach CTE, which is a smaller event that's going to focus on teacher recruitment and retention. That will take place February 26th to the 28th in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So if that's a topic that you would really like to tackle, and I think we all want to, I encourage you to participate in that event as well. But we are always updating our professional development events section online and encourage you to visit that for the latest information. And we also try to keep our sliders and our home page boxes up to date too, with pressing information and what we believe are important events for the CTE community. So with that, I think I'll turn it back over to you. Does anyone have any questions? All right, thank you. And I hope to see you all soon in Anaheim in December.
Thank you so much, Julia. I really appreciate your help and everything that you're doing to lead the way for our organization. Is Belinda able to join us today? Belinda is our new Senior Director of Finance. All right, looks like Belinda has gotten called away to something else. So we're gonna go ahead and move forward. We're gonna hand it right back over to you, Julia, to talk about CTE.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Lauren. Let me, oh, perfect. So as you all know, CTE Month is our annual awareness and celebration. It's held each February, and we use that month to highlight CTE accomplishments and programs across the country. We encourage all of you to host school visits and to, invite members of the media and policymakers to your school to see firsthand what, all the things CTE is doing for your students. And then our policy folks are very active in caucus events. And then we also find a program in the DC, Virginia area to visit. And we typically have a high profile policymaker or legislator at our event. And we try to just really rally strong support around CTE during that site visit. And the next slide, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about our Student Video Challenge. This is one of our, we've had the PSA contest for a year. This Student Video Challenge is new. This will be in our second year. And we co-host it with an organization called NASA Hunch. And Hunch stands for High School Students Unified with NASA to Create Hardware. And they actually approached us last year because they were really, so NASA Hunch actually is a formal partner with NASA, and there are about 150 high schools that have a commercial contract with NASA to create hardware and training materials for astronauts in the International Space Station. So it's a really neat opportunity, but they really wanted to reach the CTE community, and they'd actually like to involve more schools in their NASA Hunch program. So if that's something you're interested in, you can contact me or contact NASA Hunch directly. They are very open to bringing in more programs into their community. So what I wanted to say about that is in this partnership, they really were quite serious about that statement and involving CTE, the CTE community into their video competition. Last year, the 3 schools that won first, second, and third place were schools within our community. So we thought that was really, really neat. So this year, the challenge is Living and Working on the Moon and Beyond. And it's in celebration of the 50-year anniversary of the Apollo 11 mission. And so we're looking for students to consider some ideas about lunar exploration and colonization, or perhaps they can feature a project that might advance our understanding of living and working in extreme environments. And then, they could showcase a future scenario on the moon that incorporates career and technical education and or project-based learning. And I want to note that this really touches every program area, family consumer sciences, agriculture, growing, where are we going to get our food, how do we access clean water, there's medicine, healthcare, so it really does touch all program areas, and we just encourage anyone in a CTE video class or a CTE class to participate. We did change the contest rules a little bit. We've opened it up to middle school students and post-secondary students, and that's mainly because we received several requests last year from both of those communities, and we decided to open it up to CTE students just 6th grade and up. And so we'll see what we get. The deadline to submit your video this year is March 2nd. That is a month later, and that was also at the request of several video teachers who said they really spend the full year, teaching their students the basics and essentials of video production, and that they felt like they needed as much time as possible in the school year to produce a good video. So we're using CTE month for the final promotion of the video competition and then having it end at the very end of CTE month. So that's the reasoning for the extended deadline of March 2nd. Video entries just need to be 2 minutes or less in length. We ask that they include the CTE month and NASA Hunch logo, and that they talk about the importance of career and technical education. The other thing I wanted to mention is that NASA Hunch maintains the talent and authorization forms, which we ask all teachers and students to complete. It's a simple Google form, but what I want to say is that everyone who does complete it receives a really nice participation certificate from NASA Hunch. So it's just a nice piece to have. And then we also changed the award criteria just a little bit. This year, we're awarding the most creative, most inspiring, and most educational. And the winning schools will each receive $200. And then this year, we decided to give the students just a small prize as well. And we're going to give each of them a $25 Amazon gift card. And then once those winners are announced, we're planning on announcing March 30th. And I should say the reason we changed some of the criteria is because it actually was very difficult to determine a first, second, and third, because we received so many different kinds of videos that this was more reflective of what we were receiving. And we had many ties, and this was between ACTE leadership and NASA, Johnson Space Center leaders deciding on the winners. So it was really, we received some wonderful submissions last year. Anyway, once those winners are determined on March 30th, we promote them on the CTE Month page and social media across our channels. And then I should also say NASA Hunch also will give the winning schools their flown Hunch patches that have been flown on the International Space Station, and they're included in a really nicely framed plaque. So that's information on the video contest. I encourage all of your students to participate and encourage your members to have their students participate. We think it was, we received some wonderful submissions last year, and just look forward to receiving more this year. Again, I want to remind you of our merchandise that's available for CTE month. We're offering, again, the mood items because they continue to be very popular. So we've got color changing pens and pencils and bracelets and balloons and sticky notes and lanyards. So that, all of that merchandise is available at shopacte.com. And then on the next slide, again, we have the CTE Month logo that's available for download and use, on your social media channels, on your website. we encourage you to, use and share the CTE Month logo to help promote your programming. And then on your social media, we encourage you to share your success stories. And if you do, please remember to use hashtag CTE Month and hashtag CareerTechEd. This way we'll be able to also track what you're sharing, and then we will retweet it and reshare it out to our community as well. And then we will host again, we have something called 29 Days of CTE on social media. And with that, if you do share something, we enter you for various prize drawings that we do each week. So we will do that once again. That was very popular, and we received a lot of just we saw a lot of neat success stories, and it was just really neat to see what was happening in the classroom and in your schools, and to promote those actively throughout the month. And then I just encourage you to check out our resources on CTE Month. I'm sorry, I have a typo there. It should be ctemonth.org. And we have a whole section on just a step-by-step, how to engage policymakers and members of the media, and then how to host a school or a site visit. So some good checklists there. And again, we just encourage you to gear up for that and use that month as an opportunity to promote what's going on in your state and then in your members' schools and communities. So do you have any questions, any requests that you have for CTE Month? We are doing this far enough in advance that we can certainly, I'm open to your ideas. I welcome any new ways that you might like to see ACTE promote CTE Month. You can either let me know now or let me know in an email. It's at jobrien@acteonline.org. Well, thank you. And I really, I'm excited about this year's CTE Month.
Thank you, Julia. I'm just looking at the chat again. Remember, everyone is muted. If you have a question, please unmute your line or use the chat option.
Okay. I'm sorry, which question? I'm looking at the chat box.
I don't see any questions yet, Julia, but
okay.
Giving them one more minute.
Okay. I do see there's a question, maybe is 2020 at Opryland or somewhere else in Nashville? It is at the Gaylord Opryland in 2020.
Excellent. All right, well, thank you so much, Julia, for your help and for sharing with us about CTE Month. This is a really exciting time for our organization to really highlight what's going on in CTE, and we appreciate all your efforts and all your staff's efforts in making sure that CTE is heard loud and clear. So thank you so much. I'm thankful to report that we have worked out a technical glitch and that we now have Belinda Davis, who is our new Senior Director of Finance, here with us on the line. So I'm going to pass it over to Belinda.
Hi, Lauren. Thank you very much. I'm sorry about that. I was trying to unmute, and I don't think I did it correctly when you were calling my name. But on that note, I just wanted to report that we just finished up with the first quarter of fiscal year 20, and we have done quite well. We have ended the quarter with a profit of $25,425. And most of that is due to our best practice that we just had, and they had a great conference and ended in the positive as well. Things are looking great. I do want to encourage all the regions and any divisional leaders on the line to continue to look at your budget and spend all your funds. We will review them again at the end of the quarter for the second quarter. So we want to keep everybody on track. The other thing I wanted to report was that we just completed our audit for fiscal year 19, and it was approved by the audit committee. So that will be voted on when we go to visions as well. I will be sending out the first quarter 2020 quarter variance report by the end of this week. And if anyone who's on the line who's a board member, if you are and you have any questions, please feel free to call me and ask for any questions. And for the fiscal year, we're doing quite well. So we just encourage everyone to use their budgets and keep an eye on it. And if you have any questions, please give me a call. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Belinda. Any questions for Belinda?
And just one final thing, I will be having a workshop at Vision, but I'm not quite sure if that's just for the board leaders, board members, but I will get back if there are any state leaders that will be attending that as well. So we will have a financial workshop this year at Visions.
Great. Thank you, Belinda.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Belinda? Belinda's been doing an excellent job really improving our financial practices here at ACTE, and we're extremely thankful for all of her efforts and her leadership. So thank you so much, Belinda.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions just in general about what's going on with ACTE, anything on the public policy side, anything with our upcoming events, especially Vision? Any questions, concerns, things that we can assist with?
This is Debbie Nelson from Colorado, and it's not a question or a concern, it's a celebration. So we're super excited because last week it was announced that the 2020 Colorado Teacher of the Year is a business and marketing teacher who is a CACTE and ACTE member. And so we're super excited and trying to put it all out there on social media. And thank you for those of you who liked the tweet and the Facebook thing and all that. So we're super excited and we're trying to get it out all over there. And so Lauren, if there's anything you guys can do to help us like publicize her, and don't panic when you look at her membership, because I have her dues sitting right here to send before November 6th. So it looks like she expires on Thursday, but she doesn't, so don't panic. So we're super excited, and I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Awesome. That is awesome news. Thank you so much, Debbie. And I'll put you in contact with Jared, who was on the line earlier. He also does all of our media and PR, and he'd be more than happy to help you with that. I'll also connect you with our social media staff, Brandy, and she'll be more than happy to assist with that as well. So congrats.
Hey, Megan.
Any other? Go ahead.
Hi, this is Ron Omi here at Leeward Community College in Hawaii.
Hi, Ron. How are you?
Has anybody heard of the National CTE Letter of Intent signing day that is coordinated by NC3?
I have not, but I can certainly put you in contact with someone from our staff who I'm positive knows any and everything about that.
Yeah, I believe it's the CTE Letter of Intent signing day is also in February, which is CTE month.
Okay. I'm just taking notes real quick so I can connect you.
Great.
All right. We'll get back to you, Ron. Any other questions or concerns? All right. So with that, we'll end a little bit early. Thank you all so much again for your leadership in your state associations. Really, it's our state associations and our connection with you that makes CTE so much stronger. So thank you for all of your leadership and everything you're doing on behalf of the members and on behalf of CTE. We greatly appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you at Vision. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye.